learning a different way of being, meaning that you are going to be guided to follow a feeling, which is going to make you feel very, very uncomfortable. Welcome to the Heal Your Love Wounds podcast. I am your host, Iris Sariani. When you are starting your awakening of your consciousness, your spiritual awakening, what happens is that you learn a new way of being, and that new way of being requires that you follow a feeling versus following old guidance of being in action, doing, pushing through. When you are starting to go down a spiritual path, your consciousness is expanding, you're waking up to the illusion that we all live in, and you're starting to reconnect to who you really are and live from more of a soul-based, authentic place. What happens is that our world starts to crumble down around us, and things that once felt good to us, or maybe didn't feel good to us, but we actually did these things anyways because we thought that's what we had to do, those things no longer feel good for you. And those things could be like a corporate career, or people that you hang around with, or things that you like to do. Maybe those things no longer start resonating with you. That is all part of the expansion process. And so what happens, it's like little pieces of who you used to be start to fall away, and it causes you to go into this place almost of darkness. People will call it the dark night of the soul. That's what I called it for myself. And it really is that process of really resonating with nothing that you've ever known to be true, but not knowing and not understanding what's actually going on and how to navigate this whole process. So what I've found for myself is that I tried to do the same things that I would always do, and I tried to incorporate this new sense of enlightenment and expanded consciousness, because I was spending a lot of time learning about spirituality and learning about expanding our consciousness and learning about rocks and crystals and gems, and I got interested in tarot cards and oracle cards and all of that. I was really gravitating towards all of that, those types of components. And yet I was still very much grounded in a reality that for me didn't really resonate. And so I kind of straddled both, tried to balance it and tried to straddle it. So sometimes I would lean heavy on the spirituality, other times I would forget about the spirituality, and then I'd lean into just what I'd always known. But I always came back to, that doesn't feel good anymore, it just doesn't feel right anymore, and this feels so much better. And so there are a few inherent challenges that I went through in trying to straddle both worlds for quite a long time, and one of which was no longer resonating with a career path that I was on and really wanting to get into spirituality. And I did. I took a leap of faith and I jumped right in. Corporate career ended, and I jumped right into spirituality. Well, my income was up here, and then my income went in the toilet. And so that happens for me, and I believe that happens for a lot of people. So navigating that terrain is a little bit challenging, and then people start to fall away from your life, and you don't know who you are. You question whether you ever knew who you were and what you liked and what you wanted. The title of this episode is Follow the Feeling, because that's where you're going to find all of your answers. And what I mean by that, following the feeling. We have been so conditioned to ignore how we feel, do things that we don't want to do, go to places we don't want to go to, try to keep up a facade of who we need to be to fit in, to feel validated, relevant, safe, secure, whatever is important for you. And so in order to do that, we have to, in essence, sacrifice ourselves. We abandon ourselves, we neglect ourselves, our wants and our needs, and what our soul really wants to experience next. And we get really stuck in our lives. And so the universe, in collaboration with your soul, is my belief, when your soul is ready to awaken and have its consciousness kind of stretch outside the body so that there's more energetic freedom to be yourself, what it's asking of you is really to allow yourself, give yourself permission to let those old parts of you fade away, so that something new can come into your life. And what I mean by let those old parts of you fade away is that as we let things fade away, so let's use the example of money, okay? And you've got this corporate job or you've got this career, makes you a lot of money, and you actually have created an identity of who you are because of the job you're doing and the amount of money that you're making. You create an identity that isn't necessarily reflective of who you truly are and what you truly want to experience. So being able to let that fall away is going to invoke some feelings and emotions and deep down subconscious beliefs about who you need to be and why you need to be in that career, why you need to be doing that work, and what status really means to you, and what it means to thrive and push through and persevere and do all of these things to be a success. Because once you are a success, what does that mean about you? Will you be more loved? Will you be more accepted? Will your mom or dad finally see you as somebody relevant or see you as successful because your success makes them successful, for example? So this awakening in your soul, like stretching itself outside of your body, causes all of these things to come up to the surface to really be looked at and contemplated over, and really moving through the muck of everything that thing means to you, and deciding for yourself and choosing for yourself whether that is something that you want to continue to do. You want to continue to be that person. And so that is just one example that I actually had to go through as well, and what being successful meant to me, because if I was successful, then I would appear this way, and I needed to appear that way because then I was a somebody. So that's just one example of the things that are going to come up to be shed. But as you're going through this process, and the more you go down the journey, once you start to awaken, it's very difficult to turn that back off. I equate that to the saying, once you know, you can't unknow. Same is true when you start to awaken. Once you start the process, you can't stop the process. There will be something nagging at you that is going to be calling you forward. So back to my point about follow the feeling, because the feeling is the way through this whole process, and it really actually makes the process easier. So we have a lot of resistance to letting go with what we're familiar with and what we've always done and the way it's always been, and we've done it this way and our parents did it that way and their parents did it that way, and so on and so on and so on. So we have a lot of resistance to letting things go. And so instead of just allowing and accepting that you are where you are and this is happening, we throw up that resistance, but that resistance is actually going to keep us stuck longer. So the answer really is about following a feeling. So let's say, for example, we're going to use the corporate career example again, is, okay, so now we're not doing this corporate career job anymore. We're not bringing in the money that we used to make. So we're letting go of the egoic part of us that thinks that we need to be making that money because of all of the status and yada, yada, yada. But now if we're not doing that, what else feels good to us? What else feels good for you? And you start to look at different avenues of what might feel good for you to do. So during a spiritual awakening, what I have discovered for myself as well is that some careers don't really resonate or fit anymore. So you might gravitate towards yoga, or you might gravitate towards meditation, or you might gravitate to maybe changing your diet and working at a health food store and learning about herbs and permaculture and environmental type things. So you might feel a pull to go and explore what it might be to work in those areas, something that would be a bridge from this corporate status thing. And while you're working through the feelings of that whole thing crumbling down around you, you're trying to feel your way into what else is good, that would be good for you, that would generate an income and make you feel more peaceful and not so hurried and rushed and stressed. So that's one example of following the feeling. The next example that I want to talk about really is this feeling where you are in it deep and you have no idea what you're doing, where you're going, who you are. You're in transition of letting go of that, of who you used to be, and you're not fully sure of who you are becoming and what that means and what that's going to look like and where your people are. Everything gets completely turned upside down, like the dark night of the soul. And it's in those times where we don't have, or this has been my experience anyways, where we don't have a lot of motivation, ambition, inspired ideas. There just seems to be no clarity about what's going to happen next. And the old egoic mind wants to jump in and say, well, why don't you just do this? Just push through this, do this, go there, just meet up with those people. Oh, just go back to find another corporate job. Go. Those types of things start to run through your mind, and you try to push yourself forward and try to keep doing what you used to do, even though what you used to do doesn't feel good to you. In fact, it's almost nauseating and you can run off the rails really quickly. So in those times, following the feeling becomes so important, because it's almost like we give ourselves permission in those times where we're really not feeling good and we're really in this dark place, and just to give ourselves permission for that moment just to say, maybe I just don't feel like doing anything today. Maybe I just feel like going for a walk, or maybe I just feel like hanging out with the kids, or maybe I just want to go and watch a movie, or maybe I just want to go read a book in a coffee shop. It's really important, and it's been my experience, that the more I try to egoically push my way and try and make something happen, the less that happens for me and the worse that I feel. I may get little, sparks of flame and inspiration here and there, and I can do it. But then I find the next day I'm completely wiped out, and it's almost like I need a day of rest and another day to process a whole bunch of junk that's coming up for me. So it has been my experience in practicing giving myself permission to just take it easy on myself, asking myself when I wake up in the morning, how am I feeling? and what is it that feels good to me about what I want to do in my day? Do I want to make a video? Do I just want to do some writing instead? What do I want to do after I go to the gym? Do I want to go to the gym today? Yes, I want to go to the gym every day, but it's about tapping in, connecting to how you're feeling, not only in your physical body, because that's really important as well, but how you're feeling in your emotional and energetic body. Sometimes we don't have the energy to hit it hard at the gym. Sometimes all we have the energy for is to do the best we can. Create that connection with the feeling. How does it feel for me? Does this feel good for me? Would something else feel better? This food, how does that feel for me? I don't feel like eating that. I don't feel like eating meat anymore. I don't feel like eating eggs anymore. Or I feel like I could use an egg. And that's something that's happened to me recently. I'm vegan, but recently, I don't know why, I feel like incorporating the occasional happy chicken egg back into my diet. I don't question why, and I don't beat myself up for feeling like I want to incorporate an egg here and there back into my diet. I'm not going to beat myself up for that. It is what it is, and I don't question that, and I don't doubt that, and I just go with how I'm feeling and really being aware of what it is that I need in order to feel like my best self. And some days, honestly, that could be doing nothing all day long, like literally nothing all day long. And that's really hard because we live in a society where we must be doing all of the time, and we must be performing, and we must be achieving. And it's the push, push, push. And that's where the less is more as you go through this process of awakening and tapping back into your divinity and navigating this not new landscape, because that part of you has always been in there. It's just been conditioned out of us. But trust that if you are going through this experience right now, your soul is ready for this experience. Your soul is ready to awaken to the divinity that you truly are. You're doing great. I really encourage you not to beat yourself up if you're in a dark place and you're really confused about what's going on and why do you feel this way and why do you no longer like what you used to like and the friends and the things that you do. Don't judge yourself. There's in the spiritual realm, there is no place for judgments. There is only acceptance of what is, and what is your expanding consciousness and tapping in to your own divinity. I hope that you found this episode helpful. Leave a comment below. Let me know how it resonated for you, and if you took any type of nuggets away that you find would be helpful. I'd love to hear from you. And until the next episode, I am sending you so much love. Take care. And it wants to stretch out.